Hi, everybody. Gary and Mike again here at Pivotal Advisors, and we're here to talk to you in our Real Talk series again about shaping new sales behaviors. So, if you watched our last one, we talked a lot about our clients may have changed, or at least who we're focusing on may have changed. Our messaging may have changed. Our decision makers may have changed. We want we want our salespeople to do something different in a lot of cases,
Right.
and people don't like to change that much. So, how do we go about making sure they're doing the things that we've come up with that we want them to do? So, small question to you there, Mike.
Yeah. How do you get adults to change behavior quickly and stick with it? No problem, right? That's an easy one. In concept, it actually is pretty easy. In practice, it's very difficult because as a leader, we have to be the ones to stay on top of things, right?
Yeah.
So we'll kind of go through it. Simply, the first thing we have to do, and we talked about this before, is just be clear on the expectations. And when I say that, it's I want you to do these things. I want you to do it in this time frame, and I want you to report on it a certain way, right? You can't just say go do something because I'll go, okay, and I may do it. I may do it kind of the way you want. I may not do it the way you want. So if I'm asking you to call all your customers and do X, well, then that has to be followed by what information am I getting out of those customers? How am I compiling that information? And when am I reporting on that information, right? That's way more specific direction. So that's number one as a leader. We have to be clear on the direction.
And even along those lines, just because we tell them doesn't mean it actually sunk into the brain there. So, when we give direction like that, have them play it back to you. So, what did you hear? What are you going to do? Make them reiterate it. I can't tell you how many times I've had a conversation with somebody and said, okay, here's what we're going to do A, B, and C. And I say, play that back to me. And they go, something about B? They stop. It's got to sink in, make sure that they understand what they want to do. And as soon as they can communicate back to you clearly, okay, expectation understood. Then what?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's say we've been crystal clear, they played it back, we got it in shape, but now we have to inspect, right? We have to check in and see if they actually did it and what came from it, right? So what are the different ways we can inspect behavior? There's nothing better than observation, right? The best thing I can do is to observe, and that's why we promote so often that sales leaders need to be out with their reps. Well, in this current situation, out with their reps is actually an interesting thing. So now we have Zoom alongs, right? We used to call them ride alongs. Now they're Zoom alongs. That term, I thought it was clever. It is probably easier than it's ever been to listen in and actually hear not only what your salespeople are saying, but what your customers are saying. So spend some time, carve some time out to hear what they're saying directly. By the way, you can hit a button on these meetings that says record. Like
Mm-hmm.
they can absolutely just record a call and let you listen to it later where you can hear directly what customers are saying as well as give some feedback to that person. And if I have to record it and turn it in, I'm going to do it, right? Because otherwise it didn't happen. So that's,
But Mike, why not just ask them how the call went?
I could do that. And every time I've ever asked a salesperson, hey, how did that call go? Oh, it was a great call. I think we made such a good connect. I think there's some real opportunity here. Well, what I want to know is what did we learn? Did we capture information? Is there immediate opportunity? Is there something we can send them? Is there something we can invite them to? Did we get a new name? Like it's all that institutional knowledge we want to capture, but we have to be clear. We're looking for that, and we're gonna record your calls, and then we're gonna review them together. That gets people doing something. And then the other part is, Gary, around feedback. So if you do something and you go out and do it, and we're busy sales leaders, so I certainly can't be in on every call. I hope I can't be in on every call that all the salespeople are making.
Right.
That would be crazy. But assuming I can't be on them all and they do go well and people do what you want them to, how do we reinforce that or how do we keep that going?
Well, I'll talk about reinforcement in general. And sometimes less effective leaders are very critical on everything. So say you stepped up, Mike, and you said, sure, I'll record my call, and you're not feeling good about it. And then you send it, or I sat in on your Zoom and we listened. And after that, I said, all right, let's talk about that because you didn't do this right, and you didn't do that right, and you didn't ask this question, and you didn't execute that messaging at all, like we talked about. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking the next time I do a meeting, something's wrong with my recorder, and for some reason it doesn't work anymore, right? Is what I'm thinking.
Right.
I don't want you with, so I don't want that level of scrutiny. And so, I start to make excuses, right? I couldn't get a hold of anybody. I call up, the 100-pound phone shows up, right? I can't pick it up.
Right.
Nothing's really working. He wasn't really there. That wasn't a normal
This
call. Like
is
all
dumb, and
these
we
things
shouldn't be
start
doing
coming
this.
in. And it was actually a very poor experience for me, right? I just don't
Right.
like it. It was a negative experience.
So, what we're looking for here, and this goes all the way back to the origins of behavioral science, we're shaping a behavior. And to shape a behavior, we have to do it in increments. We have to find the wins. So, even if it wasn't perfect, I want to start by focusing on, all right, you did a good job asking this question. Did you see what that got you? Did you see what we uncovered? Does that make sense on how this fits into our overall strategy? Boy, Mike, I really like the way that you wrapped that up and got some to do action. And it's win, 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 win. And we're finding all of that stuff. And it might not be perfect, but then the next one, maybe we become a little bit more critical. Again, win, 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 make them want this to happen over and over again. And we're reinforcing the positive behaviors. But then we go, let's take it one step further next time. And now let's ask this as well, because I don't think we got that last time. But I need to shape this behavior. We can't have it be punitive. We can't have it be a negative experience. And frankly, they need an observer on the outside to spot the things that they can't spot themselves.
Yeah, and Gary, the simplest ones are, hey, thanks for making the call and thanks for recording it. That's great, right? So the first thing they hear is thanks for giving it the old college try. Then we talk about what went well. And then if you want to go that far, even before you start giving your suggestions, ask them, what would you do differently? If you could do that call all over again, what would you do? And unless what they're saying is completely wrong, which I find is rare, most people will look and think, I could have done this, or I could have dug there a little bit more, or maybe I could have been more prepared with an example. It's like, great, you can do that next time. Let's try it again. Right. And so what they have a positive experience that you're happy with them, that they attempted it. Maybe they learned something. I think it's amazing. People watching themselves on video will learn a lot about how they're coming across on these things.
Sure.
And I know we've gotten a lot of feedback. But anyway, it's a perfect environment to really get some learning done, as well as capturing that information. But then I actually, in addition to looking at calls or doing these Zoom alongs or listen-ins, if you don't put them on phone, and getting that positive feedback, how do we kind of compile all this, Gary? Because I can certainly look at a call with you, but now I have 7 salespeople making all kinds of sales calls. There's all kinds of stuff. So how do we look at information and inspect that to make sure people are doing this at the volume we want them to do?
Yeah, it's really easy. It's a lot of work to change adult behavior. So we could spend a lot of time making sure that they're doing the messaging right, they're getting to the right decision makers, they're executing everything that we want them to. And if we spend all of our effort there and don't look at the results it's bringing us, that can be a problem. So I want to look at, are all these changes working? I want to look at, are we getting more conversations? Is our messaging hitting home? What parts of our message are hitting home? And I'm constantly listening so I can be iterating our messaging, iterating our approach, finding out if what we're doing is right or not. I want feedback from the salespeople saying, okay, when you did that, how did they react? What types of questions did they have? Because that might change our next iteration of the messaging. But I need to look at data, metrics, client feedback, my salespeople feedback, and see if I need to change anything or if we're getting the desired results. But this is a constant iteration process until we find a formula that works.
Yeah, and I think that's the key, right? Because anytime you tell people we're going to report on it and we're going to capture metrics, people get a little nervous about that. Hopefully, our sales teams are getting used to that by now. But if it's a new report or you're asking for something different, just keep reminding them. The reason we track is it helps us adjust and try something different. I don't want you to keep doing the same thing for a month if it doesn't work.
Right.
That's insanity. So what I want you to do is do it, write it down. Let's see what it got us. If it worked, let's do more of it. If it didn't work, let's do something different. And let's, as you said, iterate as fast as possible. And there's so much learning in that. But for a leader, our job is make sure we set clear expectations, observe or inspect that work, and then check in with data or information to say, is it getting us the results that we want, right? And when we do those three things, we start to shape behavior. And again, remember, if we tell people we want to make 20 calls this week, we've been doing 5 a week, we'd like to get it to 20 a week, and they go from 5 to 10, our reaction is to say, what a crappy week, I told you guys to do 20. And what we really did is we doubled from 5 to 10. So that doesn't mean we give up on the goal, but say, hey guys, we got 10 really good conversations. We learned a ton of information that was really helpful. Hopefully, maybe even something good like a discovery meeting or a new opportunity popped out of that calling. What would we have to do different to get it to 20? That's the concept of shaping. Make every week better than last week, or every month better than last month. Don't try and get to some absolute number that you guys know you pull out of the sky anyway. So how do we do that? So I think if you keep those things in mind and really start to shape, you will get your people moving down the new path.
This is the heavy lifting work here, sales leaders. Coming up with the ideas is fun and exciting and stressful at the same time. Giving direction, I think most of you are pretty good at it. This is what is hard, and getting a bunch of people to change what their approach is, and getting them to do something different and analyzing whether it's working or not and reshaping that behavior. This is where your leadership skills will really step up and you can shine if you do a good job. But it's a lot of work and you got to be out there. This is our Real Talk series. We'll continue pumping these out. I hope they're helpful for you. If you want to learn more about us or what we do or how we can help you out in these areas, please go to our website at www.pivotaladvisors.com or give us a buzz. We love digging into this stuff and we'd love to help you out. Thanks for watching.
Take care, all.